Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Wild West AI, the podcast about anything and everything AI. Okay, today I'm going to share with you a prompt right now, and then I'm going to jump into why I'm sharing it with you. So here's the prompt. Answering in only facts, numbers, and figures which you cite in your response directly, and replying in bullet points. Give me overlooked metrics, stats, trends, and facts that will destroy and dismantle the argument that ... or colon if you prefer. Okay, why am I sharing that prompt with you? A lot of people have trouble challenging their own viewpoints on things. And I have trouble with that sometimes too, but a lot of the time I don't. I think I'm actually pretty good at this one. I'm not a perfect person, but I'm pretty good at not getting attached to an argument if it doesn't make sense. So I find that this is one of the really helpful ways of testing some sort of argument or viewpoint that I have in my head to see if it actually does make sense or not. And what this does is it will respond to whatever it is that you're thinking. Let's say, on the let's just go all the way, all right? So destroy and dismantle the argument that the moon landing ever happened, okay? There's the argument. The moon landing happened. And then here's an example reply, and I'm just going to read it. I'm not altering anything. Okay. NASA budget in 1969 peaked at 4.41% of federal spending. By 1979, it dropped to 1%, cutting the lunar program continuity. The Saturn V rocket never flew beyond Apollo 17, and after 1972, U.S. lacked any rocket capable of sending humans beyond low Earth orbit until the SLS Artemis 1 in 2022. The Apollo guidance computers only had 64 kilobytes of memory. That was less computing power than a 1980s digital watch. In moon photos, 0 stars are visible in Apollo images, and the exposure settings are cited, but no independent, unedited negatives were released for decades. The lunar module descent engine, the variable thrust, 1,050 to 10,125 pounds, no blast crater visible under LM in Apollo landing photos. And the temperature range on the moon, plus 253 degrees Fahrenheit a day and negative 387 degrees Fahrenheit a day. Apollo suits were rated only for negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit to plus 250 degrees Fahrenheit on paper. And there's no independent thermal vacuum test publicly archived. It goes on and on and on and on and on, okay? So, am I right now stating anything about this specific claim? No, I am not. It is an example. Do not even begin to read into what I think about this issue. That's not my role here. Okay? So what I'm trying to show you is there are some claims there, like there are some things that it is citing that I do not have the answer to. Okay? Now, here's a pivot or a caveat. You must make sure that all the links that it is citing, whatever the AI interface you're using is, doesn't matter what it is, make sure, for the love of God, make sure that the links that it is citing actually lead somewhere legitimate. It's amazing how often links will lead to a 404 error page, okay? I'm telling you this, I will tell you over and over and over again. Just because you're reading something and there's a citation doesn't mean the citation leads anywhere. You have to make sure that whatever you're talking to, whatever AI system it is pulling from a real place. So that's something I want to make sure I state right away. Having said that, if the response, whatever it is that you're talking about, comes back and you check each link and they're all legit, they all lead to legitimate sources that you can verify, and they all seem credible, you must now confront your viewpoint. Do you have an answer to those facts? And if you don't, there's only two things you can do. You have to change your viewpoint, or you have to then copy paste that response along with the same prompt, All right. Answer with, all the facts and figures, yada, 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 and destroy the argument that, and then all of those facts and figures verbatim. Okay. So this is how you start getting somewhere. And you want to make sure that you leave room for if it can't counter a fact. So you want to adjust the prompt maybe at this point, because you want to be able to say like, look, if you cannot counter something with verifiable, legitimate facts, like do say so, but like you need to try your hardest to actually destroy this person's argument right now and feed it those facts. It's interesting what happens at that point, because it's very rare that it won't, it's rare that it will give up on any one of the facts you feed it. Once in a while, I find that it's like it verifies something so many different ways that it's like, okay, I cannot honestly argue against this. Like if you're like, the capital of France is not Paris, it'll be like, I honestly cannot come up with many arguments against that. But if you say like, you'd be surprised. Sometimes like if you said like New England in the United States is comprised of, the following states, and you list all the ones in New England, it could very well, counter with the fact that Westlvania was very possibly going to be the 14th state of the United States and part of New England, and that it was only shut down by like corrupt politicians, making it so that Philadelphia got more focus than the people in Western Pennsylvania, for instance. But like, like that's not really the best answer. So but it's true. There could have been another state called Westlvania. Look into it, I swear. Anyway, all this in saying, it's a useful way of countering your own arguments and testing yourself. And if anything, bolstering your own arguments too, because once you have the answers to the way, to all these different facts and figures you might pull out of the woodwork that go against what you're saying, if you have an answer to them all, that's just going to make your argument stronger. So you have nothing to lose. Go into it fully and strongly. Again, everything I share on this show is not foolproof. And it's not my fault. It's just AI isn't foolproof. But I'm just sharing stuff that I'm messing with and finding myself. So there you have it. Hope you find this interesting. I'll put the prompt in this episode description as well, so that you can copy paste it if you want and tinker with it, alter it, make it better than I've made it, and then share it with me so I can use it too. All right, everybody. We'll be back soon. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to y'all then. Bye-bye.